Let's set the scene. It's Paris, 1789. And this is a city that's literally holding its breath, just teetering on the edge of an explosion that is going to change everything. To really get what's happening, you have to understand that this was a city completely and totally divided.
Right at the heart of it all is this massive gap, this chasm of inequality that's honestly hard to wrap your head around. On one side, you've got Versailles. Think glittering palaces, unbelievable luxury, a world where royalty is so disconnected from reality is not even funny. And then, just a few miles down the road, you have Paris. And in Paris, people are starving. Literally starving to death in the streets. It's not just a wealth gap, It's like two different planets existing side by side.
And well, you can imagine, a contrast like that creates an insane amount of pressure. Just think of it like a giant pressure cooker. Every single day, the heat gets turned up a little more, and there's just no release valve anywhere in sight. Something's got to give.
So while that pressure is building, what's happening back at Versailles? The royal court is feasting. They're throwing these incredible parties, eating meals with more courses than you can count, just indulging in every possible way. And they're either completely oblivious to the suffering just outside their gates or, and this is probably more likely, they just don't care.
Meanwhile, back in the real world, the city starves. The price of bread, which is the main thing people eat to survive, has just gone through the roof. Families literally can't afford a single loaf. You've got people collapsing from hunger right there in the streets. This isn't just about being poor. This is a full-blown crisis. It's about survival.
Now, when people get this desperate, they don't stay quiet forever. That hunger starts to curdle into a really potent anger. And that's when we start to see the first real cracks appearing in this old, rigid system.
And boom, here it is, the first really organized act of rebellion. A rumor just takes off like wildfire. The monastery of St. Lazare is hoarding tons of grain. Now, for the starving people of Paris, this place becomes a symbol of everything that's being kept from them. So they take action. They breach the walls, and they don't just take food, they take weapons too. This wasn't just some chaotic riot. No, this was a targeted mission. You could almost call it a dress rehearsal for what was coming next.
That raid on St. Lazare, it worked, and it gives the people a taste of their own power. Those first cracks we talked about, they're about to become a massive fissure. That pressure cooker is ready to blow, and it all leads to the main event.
So on the morning of July 14th, this huge crowd forms outside the Bastille. They want weapons, but more importantly, they want the gunpowder stored inside. By 1:30 in the afternoon, talking is over and the assault starts. It's a total bloodbath for hours. But then, around 3:30, something incredible happens. The soldiers who are supposed to be defending the king, they switch sides. They join the crowd and bring their cannons with them. And that changes everything. By 5:30 in the evening, the Bastille, this unbreakable symbol of royal power, surrenders. It's fallen.
So why the Bastille? Of all the buildings in Paris, why that one? Well, because it was so much more than just a prison. For generations, the Bastille was the symbol of the king's absolute, terrifying power. It's where the king could throw anyone he wanted without a trial and just let them rot. To attack the Bastille was to attack the very idea of the king himself.
Okay, so after all that fighting, all that bloodshed, when the revolutionaries finally break in, how many political prisoners do you think they found inside? Hundreds? Dozens? Nope, 7. They found just 7 prisoners. And that right there tells you everything you need to know. This was never really about a prison break. It was about tearing down a symbol of oppression piece by piece.
The fall of that one single building sent a shockwave across the entire globe. It's an echo we can still hear today. So let's talk about why this matters so much. What was the lasting legacy?
That one day in July was an absolute turning point for the world. It showed, in the most violent way possible, that ordinary people, when they come together, can actually overthrow their rulers. Every monarchy in Europe was terrified, and this event kicked open the door for brand new ideas about democracy, government, and liberty. The whole concept of universal human rights, something we kind of take for granted now, was suddenly at the center of the global conversation. The world was never, ever going to be the same.
And the story of 1789 leaves us with this huge, timeless question, doesn't it? It shows us that oppression and inequality build this unbearable pressure. The storming of the Bastille is one answer to what happens when that pressure finally explodes. It makes you wonder, what might another answer look like today?